Now, we start with the muscle tone part number 2. In the last lecture, we discussed it is the gamma motor neuron that are ultimately starting the genesis of what? Muscle tone. More the gamma motor neuron, more was the muscle tone. Less the gamma motor discharge, less was the motor tone. Now these gamma motor neurons which are present in the spinal cord, they do not have that much potential to regulate the muscle tone of their own. They are controlled, their activity is controlled by the centers present above the spinal cord. And these centers are known as supraspinal centers. These supraspinal centers, they have two types of areas. One is known as facilitatory area and other is known as inhibitory area. Facilitatory area, it facilitates the activity of gamma motor neuron and making them to discharge to the intrafusal fiber. Inhibitory area, they inhibit the gamma motor neuron and try to inhibit the discharge from the gamma motor neuron. So what are these facilitatory areas and what are these inhibitory areas present above the spinal cord? They are present in the brainstem. They are present in the pons and medulla oblongata. Two facilitatory areas are present. One is present in the reticular formation of pons. This facilitatory area, it sends the fibers which descend down into the spinal cord as the reticulospinal tract and it terminates on the gamma motor neuron and try to stimulate this gamma motor neuron. One more facilitatory area is present and that is present in the medulla oblongata. And that area is known as the vestibular nuclei, a group of nuclei in the vestibular area, that is the vestibular nuclei. These vestibular nuclei, they send the fibers which descend down into the spinal cord, terminate on the gamma motor neuron and try to facilitate the activity of what? Gamma motor neuron. These fibers are known as the vestibulospinal tract. Okay. Now, out of these two areas, the area that is present in the pons, it is intrinsically active. That means it keeps on discharging the impulses of its own. So this is continuously discharging and continuously causing the stimulation of intrafusal fibers and working on the circuit and generating the tone. This is opposed by the inhibitory area. So where is the inhibitory area? Inhibitory area, this is the black color structure present in the medulla oblongata. So the reticular formation of medulla oblongata, it contains this inhibitory area. This inhibitory area, it sends the axons down into the spinal cord, terminating on what is called the gamma motor neuron and inhibit this gamma motor neuron. But this inhibitory area present in the medulla, it is not intrinsically active. It cannot generate its own impulses of its own. So it has to be driven from outside and this driving is done by three areas present in the central nervous system. So what are these three areas? The first area, the first structure is the cerebellum. Cerebellum stimulates this inhibitory area. The second one is the caudate nucleus of the basal ganglia. And the third one is the suppressor motor area, that is area number 4S. That is present very next to the primary cortex, primary motor cortex. So these three areas, they stimulate the inhibitory area and inhibitory area in turn causes the inhibition of gamma motor neuron. Thumb rule. Facilitatory area is intrinsically active, it doesn't require the stimulation from outside. Inhibitory area, it is not intrinsically active, it has to be stimulated from the outside, then and then it will send the signals and the signals then descend down and terminate on the gamma motor neuron. This is the basic difference. So when all these things they are working, there is the balance when they are terminating on the gamma motor neuron. There is the balance between facilitation and inhibition, but slight dominance of what facilitation that makes this gamma motor neuron to discharge go to this intraphyseal fiber, and that generates this complete reflex activity and causes the contraction of muscle, the small bundle of muscle, and that is getting to what is known as the muscle tone. Okay, so these are the centers which are regulating the activity of what gamma motor neuron. इतना समझ में आया, हाँ या नहीं? चलो फिर अब एक हम एक्सपेरिमेंट करते हैं. Just above these pons we are having midbrain. Midbrain is having superior colliculus and the inferior colliculus. The two dots are there. This one is the superior colliculus, second one is the inferior colliculus. What we do, we give the section between these two collicula. A section is given between these two collicula. What will happen to the tone of muscle? The two inhibitory areas, that is the basal ganglia and the motor cortex, now they are removed. They no longer now stimulate the inhibitory area present in the medulla. Only cerebellum is there. So the stimulation of inhibitory area is decreased. It is mild, and thus there is the less inhibition of what gamma motor neuron. Facilitatory area as per its normal function, it is continuously discharging. So there is the excess stimulation of what gamma motor neuron, excess stimulation of intraphyseal fiber, excess operation of this complete circuit. Tone is increased, hypertonia is developed. Hypertonia is developed into the flexor muscle as well as the extensor muscle. The state of rigidity is produced, and this rigidity that is produced is known as decerebrate rigidity. What it is called? It is called decerebrate rigidity. The decerebrate rigidity that is induced by giving the surgical section in the midbrain between superior and inferior colliculus. It is known as classic decerebrate rigidity. So now we study how this we see what will be the picture of animal in the classic decerebrate rigidity. All the four limbs, they are extended. That is, there is the hyperextension. There is the hyperextension of the head and the neck. There is the extension of the tail also. Okay, and the back is also, it undergoes the hypertonia. It also undergoes the rigidity, and there is the concave structure. There is the concavity is developed, that is known as opisthotonus. So hyperextension of forelimbs, hyperextension of the head, hyperextension of the tail, then the hyperextension of the back leading to concave curvature, that is opisthotonus. Such is the position of the decerebrate animal. If this decerebrate animal is toppled, the animal will fall down and it cannot come back to the normal position. This is what is called the classic decerebrate rigidity, and this experiment was done by the great scientist, that is the Sherrington, and hence it is known as Sherrington's classic decerebrate rigidity. इतना समझ में आया? हाँ या नहीं? मुझे भी दम लग रहा है, आप ध्यान से सुनो. अब इतना जब हम सेक्शन दे रहे हैं मिड ब्रेन में, so what will happen to the animal at the end? Animal is then sacrificed. So by to sacrifice this animal, we can do the same experiment by inducing these changes by another mode. So what is that another mode? This is the medulla oblongata. This is the pons. At this junction, we are having two arteries. One artery is known as the internal carotid artery, and this another artery is known as the basilar artery. Common carotid artery dividing into the at the neck into external, internal, and internal is reaching up to the medulla and the pons. So at the level of junction of medulla with the pons, we are having two arteries, internal carotid and the basilar artery. What we do now, we ligate these two arteries. blood flow to the upper part of brain is stopped. Supply of nutrient is stopped. Supply of oxygen is stopped. There is a death of cells, death of the neurons, and that process is known as ischemia. And this ischemia, now it leads to development of rigidity. How it leads to development of rigidity? of ध्यान से सुनो. This is the motor area. This is the motor cortex. This motor cortex, it sends down one tract, and that tract is going all the way into spinal cord, and that tract is known as pyramidal tract, descending tract, or the pyramidal tract, or the corticospinal tract. This corticospinal tract, it is checking the activity of this alpha motor neuron. Now what is happening? Because of ligation, the complete cerebral hemisphere, it has undergone ischemia. So motor cortex has also gone ischemia, internal capsule has also gone ischemia, pyramidal tract is broken, influence of pyramidal tract on the alpha motor neuron is lost. Now the alpha motor neuron, they discharge unchecked, and that then discharge goes to the skeletal muscle, and skeletal muscle develops the more contraction, more tone, and hypertonia is developed. Hypertonia is developed similar to that of the decerebrate rigidity. Now, two animals, they are kept in front of you. One animal is having the classical decerebrate rigidity, and the second animal is having the ischemic decerebrate rigidity. Rigidity that is produced by this mechanism, by this procedure, it is known as ischemic decerebrate rigidity. So two animals, one with the classic decerebrate rigidity, second with the ischemic decerebrate rigidity, they are kept in front of you, and you are asked the question, which is the ischemic decerebrate rigidity. So what will you do? What do we do then? We simply do one experiment. We cut the sensory nerve fibers that are entering into the spinal cord, that we are cutting the afferent nerve, and this procedure is known as deafferentation. If this rigidity is classic decerebrate rigidity, what will happen? There is no stimulation of what? Alpha motor neuron, and no stimulation of the skeletal muscle fiber, and the rigidity will be decreased and tone will be then lost. So when the rigidity is abolished by cutting the afferent nerve, this type of rigidity is nothing but the classic decerebrate rigidity. Now we do the same experiment in the ischemic decerebrate rigidity and see what happens to it. Now the same experiment is done, that is deafferentation is done in the ischemic decerebrate rigidity. It is terminating on what is called the alpha motor neuron. But alpha motor neuron is already supplied by one additional important descending fiber, that is the fiber of pyramidal tract. Now the effect of pyramidal tract is gone. Alpha motor neurons, they are discharging unchecked, and even if we cut the afferent nerve, there is no effect on the motor neuron, and the motor neuron will keep on discharging of their own, and that will continuously lead to hypotonia, rigidity, and there will be no abolishment of the rigidity. Deafferentation in classic decerebrate rigidity, it leads to abolition of rigidity. Deafferentation in ischemic decerebrate rigidity, it doesn't lead to abolishment of the rigidity. So classic decerebrate rigidity is dependent on what? The activity of this reflex arc. It is dependent on the activity of this reflex arc, and it is mainly dependent on the gamma motor neuron, and hence this classic decerebrate rigidity is also known as gamma rigidity, and the ischemic decerebrate rigidity is also known as the alpha rigidity, because of here it is because of overactivity of gamma motor neuron, and here it is because of what? Overactivity of alpha motor neurons. Instead of doing the deafferentation, instead of cutting the afferent nerve, we can simply put one injection of local anesthesia and that will then block the conduction, and we can then also check whether rigidity is decreased or not. So we differentiate between the classic decerebrate rigidity and the ischemic decerebrate rigidity. First one, the cause. Classic decerebrate rigidity is caused by giving the section between superior and inferior colliculi or midbrain. Here in the ischemic decerebrate rigidity, the rigidity is because of ligation of internal carotid and the basilar artery at the level of junction of medulla and the pons. Okay. Then second difference. In the classic decerebrate rigidity, there is the overactivity of the stretch reflex, overactivity of the gamma motor neurons, hence it is also known as gamma rigidity. In the ischemic one, there is the overactivity of what? Alpha motor neuron, hence that rigidity is also known as alpha rigidity. The effect of deafferentation in classic decerebrate rigidity, there is the loss of rigidity in the classic decerebrate rigidity. Effect of deafferentation on the ischemic decerebrate rigidity is there is no abolishment. Instead of giving doing the deafferentation, we can give the local anesthesia in the dorsal horn of the spinal cord and produce the same effect as of what? Deafferentation. So these are the differences between classical and the ischemic decerebrate rigidity. Here we should conclude, but two important points interesting points I like to mention. And these are the physiological points, these are the normal points. What will happen to the muscle tone in case of what? Sleep? And what will happen to the muscle tone when the person is in the tension, emotional tension? Physiological thing. Very often we experience this one. A family member is fast asleep, just feel his muscle, you will see that the muscle is having no tightness, it is flabby muscle, there is the atonia. Why atonia is developed during sleep? Reason is, at the junction of medulla and the pons, in the central area, there is one nucleus present. At the junction of medulla and pons, in the central region, one nucleus is present. Name of that nucleus is the median raphe nucleus. What it is? It is the median raphe nucleus. During sleep, this nucleus, it releases one neurotransmitter, and that neurotransmitter is the serotonin. And this serotonin, it inhibits the facilitatory area, no facilitation of gamma motor neuron, already they are being inhibited, and thus there is no activity of this reflex circuitry, and no development of tone, and the atonia is produced during the sleep. Got it? This is about the sleep. Second, tension. We all experience the tension, emotional tension. Just all of you have just appeared for the NEET examination. You enter the center, enter the room, sat on your seat. Now you are waiting for the answer sheet and the question paper. Just recall what was happening to your body that time. Your muscles of the leg, they were tense. They were crossed or they were tense. Muscles of the arms, they were also tense. That is, there is the increase in the tone of muscle. Why there is increase in the tone of muscle? Because these psychological factors, they are coming from the one limbic area and this limbic system, and these are then influencing these two centers in such a way that ultimately there is increase in the firing from the gamma motor neuron, and that is then leading to what is called the increase in the tone during such tense situation. Once the event is completed, exam is completed, such type of the tense information from the limbic system no longer comes, and the tone comes back to the normal when you come out of the center. So these are the two important physiological factors where tone is altered. Thank you very much for जो कुछ है वो